Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be talking about what I think is the first lens that anybody should get, which is this lens right here. I'm going to talk about what it is, what it does, why I think you should get it as your first lens, and show you what you can do with it. So actually, I'm going to start off making coffee, and I'm going to show you how I make coffee with this lens. So before I start talking about this lens and why I think you should get it first of all, I want to say that when I say the first lens you should buy, I mean after you've gotten your camera and probably a kit lens. The good thing about a kit lens is for beginners, you're not used to focal lengths and what focal lengths you like to shoot at. The kit lens usually isn't great quality, but you have typically a decent to good amount of focal length, range in the focal length that you can kind of play with and experiment with, see if you like shooting wider or more telephoto, and see what your preferences are as a photographer, as a videographer. With this, you don't have that flexibility. You can't zoom in, you can't zoom out, you just get what you get, but it gives you a lot of other benefits, and that's what we're talking about today. So this lens is what a lot of people call the Nifty 50. It's a 50mm focal length lens, which on a full frame camera is kind of a medium angle. It's not too tight, not too like zoomed in, you might say, and it's not too wide either. It's kind of right in the middle. Now on a crop sensor lens, APS-C, so any of your Rebel series cameras, T7i, also your 80D, 90D, 70D, any of that series, 7D, 7D Mark II, it's going to have a field of view that's closer to what an 80mm lens would have on a full frame. Now, if you don't understand any of what I just said, don't worry about it. If you have one of those cameras, it's going to look a little more zoomed in, basically. The 80mm is really close to 85mm, which is kind of your typical portrait length, which makes this lens on a crop sensor camera like that really great to use for a lot of stuff, especially portraits if you're taking pictures of people. If you're even doing stuff like products, I take a lot of coffee pictures and video with this, as you saw earlier. So that's one of the reasons I like to suggest it right off the bat, is it's just a really useful focal length to have. Now, the biggest reason to look at getting this lens as your first lens is the price to quality ratio factor. How cheap it is for what it does. This lens new sells for $125 usually. For the image quality and everything that you get out of this, that's just ridiculous. Like it's a no-brainer. Usually paying that much money for, honestly, usually you just can't pay that much money for a lens, period. To get this for that price, it's kind of ridiculous. Aperture, if you don't know that much about camera stuff, we are talking about first lenses. Aperture is basically how wide the opening that lets light through this lens gets. So the maximum aperture on this is f1.8. That's a pretty wide aperture, which means a couple things. First of all, it lets a lot of light in. So you can shoot better in situations where you don't have a lot of light. If you're shooting indoors, if you're shooting later in the day when it's not so bright, something like that. This works pretty well for that because it lets in a large amount of light. It also, what aperture also affects is how blurry your background gets. So the wider you have your aperture open, the blurrier your background gets. f1.8 is going to allow you to get some really nice blurry background if you're looking for that kind of shot. Now, the thing is, you don't always have to have blurry backgrounds, and you can close down the aperture to a smaller aperture and not have as blurry of a background as you want, not bring in as much light if you don't want that. But having a lens like this gives you the option. Another thing is just the actual quality of the images that you get out of this lens for the price. The image quality out of this is really good. For the price range, you cannot even come close to it, let alone beat it. Now, this isn't the best 50mm lens. There are better 50mm lenses. You know, you get into your L series lenses, they're going to be better than this, but also cost like 10 times what this costs or more. You know, L series lenses, you're talking about like thousands of dollars for a prime lens, or Sigma Art series lenses, hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars for a prime lens, and even more for zoom lenses. So at this price point, getting the image quality that this delivers, really nice. Another thing is, if you are shooting on a crop censored camera, so a Canon Rebel camera, something like that, this is a lens that can grow with you. A lot of your lenses, like your kit lens that you got with the camera, for instance, they're made specifically for crop censored cameras. So if you upgrade to a full frame camera at some point, which just means that it has a bigger sensor than a crop censored camera, more professional cameras tend to be full frame. If you do upgrade to a full frame camera, your crop censored lenses aren't going to work on that camera. They're not even going to fit on there. Whereas something like this is actually a full frame lens, and this you can take with you onto the full frame camera once you get it. Another awesome thing about this lens is the size. I mean, just look how small this thing is. You can easily put this thing in your pocket. When it's on the front of a camera, it's easy to have it on there and not be so conspicuous as when you have like a huge 24-70 f2.8 lens or something like that. It's also something that even as you upgrade, it's easy to just throw it in your bag with all your other gear, so that if you do need 50mm, it's right there. And even if you don't use it a ton, it's not really taking up that much space. It's not adding that much weight to your camera bag, so it makes sense to have it in there anyway. One thing I would recommend about buying this lens is you might as well buy it new versus buying it used. Used, you might find it for like $100, so you're saving like 25 bucks, versus new. And you know, if you know how to buy lenses and what you should look for in making sure that a used lens is okay, then you can certainly get good lenses used, but the amount you're saving on this, it almost doesn't really make sense. So I would suggest for most people that you just go ahead and save up another $20, $25 or something and go ahead and buy it new. So if you are a beginner photographer or videographer and you're looking for your first lens to buy after your kit lens, I would suggest, really it's a no-brainer, don't look further than the Canon 50mm f1.8. It's going to really change the quality of images that you can get when you're stepping up from your kit lens. And the price just makes it really unbeatable for your first lens. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in purchasing this lens, there are links in the description down below. They're affiliate links, so at no extra cost to you, it's going to support this channel a little bit so that I can keep making videos like this for you guys. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. In the comments down below, tell me if you're thinking about this lens and what you're thinking about using it for. If you have been doing photography or videography for a little while, tell me what your first lens was, what your experience was with this lens, because for most people, it was their first lens. And if you haven't yet, think about hitting the subscribe button and then the bell icon so you can get notified of all the new videos I make here on this channel. Thanks, guys.